global development story has been created at the back of many great ideas. The mobile phone that we all know, that has moved from just connecting people to extending financial inclusion and healthcare in India. But as development practitioners, we always remain skeptical. But if you look at this infographic in there that shows that life expectancy in India has increased threefold, and incomes have gone up by 6 times in the past 100 years. And that's quite a bit for a country with 1 billion people and many development challenges to face. So while we should be optimistic, there are still many challenges to face. And at Intellicap, we've seen these challenges being addressed across different shifts. So the first shift we see is information and awareness. So for example, and this is where we're trying to play a big role in our expansion to East Africa, there's a great deal to learn from cross-pollination. The solar lamp was designed by an engineer in San Francisco to be used by low-income populations in emerging markets. So that's a testament to information and awareness and how the world is becoming a flatter place. The next big thing is solutions. And even with solutions, we have the greatest minds in India, at least, from the best engineering schools now wanting to work with startups, which in the past I think wasn't the best option or wasn't the preferred option. But today there are many young people that are looking to basically move into the startup space, into the social enterprise space, realize the value of that, and that's bringing out some very big solutions. The third shift we're seeing is capital. There is a lot of money out there. We constantly say there isn't, but just in India alone, $1.6 billion has been invested in impact investing alone, which is into social enterprises like the kinds Nivi was speaking about a while ago. And then the next bit is partnerships. We're seeing some really great partnerships even in India between the public sector and the private sector. Very recently, an organization called Bharat Biotech in India partnered with the government of India and DFID, the UK government's aid department, to launch the cheapest rotavirus vaccine available in the world. Which is a great testament to the potential of collaboration at a public level with private sector partners and making healthcare more accessible and improving healthcare facilities for low-income populations. So these are the shifts we've been seeing as Intellicap, and we believe that all of this is centered around entrepreneurship. And our approach to entrepreneurship and furthering entrepreneurship is across 3 main areas: intellect, capital, and networks. So if I can, yeah, you can go ahead. So the intellect part of it is where Intellicap is constantly looking for white spaces. We work with donors, with corporations, with DFIs to identify white spaces and build market infrastructure. One of our ideas is Startup Wave. So while these spaces are great, I think spaces like this are limited in potential for people sitting in Kisumu or people sitting really far off who still have the potential, who are still innovating. How do we take what you all are doing here online? How do we digitize curriculum here? How do we make business model canvas and support available online? So we've taken all of that online on a virtual incubation platform called Startup Wave so that there are more people able to access that kind of support. In India, we see a 98% rejection rate in incubators. So what's happening to those 98% of potential entrepreneurs? Where are they going? Who's helping them? And that's why Startup Wave came about. Credit Tree, which is another one of our initiatives, was launched yesterday. We see a lot of women entrepreneurs facing challenges with getting loans. There's a challenge with going to a bank, talking to a bank officer who says, oh, where's your husband? Oh, is your husband going to sign for your loan? So we've taken all of that online. Women entrepreneurs can now apply for loans online through Credit Tree in India, and we've partnered with some of the biggest banks to accept these loans, and we've listed a bunch of advisors to help them fill their loan application. So how do we leverage technology and fill these white spaces and take these great opportunities that people here in hubs like the Nairobi garage have to more people? So that's sort of what we do as part of our intellect. As part of capital, we all know capital is the biggest challenge. We've developed an ecosystem for capital. So right from $100, which our microfinance institute, Arohan, gives, we go all the way up to 5 million and more, which our venture capital fund, Avishkar, lends as equity. IntelliCash is a merchant banking solution, so not the microfinance customers, but slightly bigger. So your mom and pop shops, they require debt as well. So IntelliCash is one of our subsidiary companies that lends to those mom and pop shops. The IntelliCap Impact Investment Network is a network that we launched in India and are soon launching in East Africa, where we can mobilize domestic capital into enterprises, because that's a great need. We see domestic capital playing a big role in furthering entrepreneurship. And these are not very large amounts. These are small amounts that high net worth individuals put in as equity into enterprises. IntelliGrow is a venture debt company similar to the likes of Growfin here, that we launched to plug the debt funding gap that we saw in India. When we did a study 2 years ago with IFC, the debt gap was around, wait, let me get the exact number, was around 3 trillion Indian rupees, which is about 60 billion US dollars. And that was because banks couldn't address it, because banks needed collateral. And so IntelliGrow hands out venture debt, which is debt but with equity features. And Avishkar, which is our venture capital fund, which gives out pure equity. Cumulatively, I think we have a portfolio size of over, I think, close to 300 million US dollars that we've handed out as capital to over 50 enterprises in Avishkar and many, many more across the value chain. And finally, the third bit is networks, because as IntelliCap alone, you can't do enough, and we don't believe that we can do everything, and it's very important to build that ecosystem and those collaboration opportunities, and that's where Sankalp comes into play. We host an annual conference every year in India, and we've been doing it for the past 2 years here in Nairobi. We have close to 700 to 1,000 people attending this conference, and the intent is to drive action and drive outcomes. Some of the outcomes we've created in Sankalp India has been the formation of the Impact Investment Council, which is a self-regulatory body of impact investors to influence policy, to create uniform standards and practices. Similarly, there's a National Association of Social Entrepreneurs, who are an industry body to work together to further a social enterprise at a policy level, but also at an industry level. We've seen that these industry associations play a very big role in accelerating the entire industry and moving it forward together. So that's the intent of Sankalp, by bringing people together and getting them to talk and collaborate more.